Hi, it's Jack, and this is the podcast version of this episode. If you want to read the words as they're being analysed, then if you're on Spotify, you can become a subscriber of this channel or head over to the YouTube channel. And on both platforms, you can also sign up to get exclusive episodes and early access to the regular weekly episodes too. Nick Houck says he's 100% honest, and then he admits he's holding something back. He's failed the polygraph, but it's how he talks about it that changes everything. In this episode, we break down what his words reveal about the Crystal Rogers case. For example, are these the words of an innocent man?
You do whatever you want to do. I said I'm here.
I want to cooperate with you. I'm not here.
Tell me what happened. Tell me what you know.
I don't know anything.
We're past that. You've already shown me that you do.
I know nothing.
Welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. What I do here is different from anywhere else. What you get here is me only looking at the words and the statements, nothing else, forgetting everything else and zoning in on them. So I strip away everything to see possible deception, possibly where the truth lies and the motivation of someone as well. I use my statement investigation process to break it down. Now, that's a process that I use with investigators, with the media, and with corporate clients to get closer to finding out the truth. What's really going on beyond the words? So let's look at this case. Crystal Rogers disappeared in 2015. 10 years later, her boyfriend at the time, Brooks Houck, has been found guilty of involvement in her murder. And it's Brooks' brother, Nick, that we're going to be looking at, because Nick's a police officer. He was interviewed by the police in the last episode that we looked at, and they found him wanting and asked him, would he take a polygraph test? And now he's taken that test, finally. And, well, they've shared the results with him, and he's failed the polygraph test. So this is going to rattle police officer Nick. So as we're looking through how he talks about this, I want you to pay particular attention to the pronouns that he uses. Because when we use pronouns like I and me and my, we really join ourselves to what we're talking about. If we drop those pronouns, or if we talk it in a distant way about things, we have less ownership and less commitment to what we're saying. That's going to become important as we join Nick in the interview room.
You can deny, that's fine. That's what people do. It's will. That's what you've done at this point. And it's human nature. You know, when people are asked questions about a matter such as this, they immediately circle the wagons and start to, out of self-preservation, we all
Man, let me just cut you off. Do we need to take this any further?
I would like to take it to the truth. That's the whole reason we're here.
Is the test though? You're talking crazy.
Well,
you're talking crazy.
Was that your rehearsed response to what was going to happen today? Because it sure sounds like it.
I don't know what it sounds like. I'm just telling you.
I'm telling you what it is.
You're talking crazy.
What's crazy about it? Explain to me.
The accusations you're making.
Yeah, I'm saying you're involved in this.
Absolutely not.
Well,
none.
You already told me that. That's why we did the polygraph, to find out. Well, now we both know.
I told you what now?
You told me before you had nothing to do with it. Right?
Yes.
Well, now we're past that, because I've already shown that you did have something to do with it.
I don't know what the test...
I just showed you.
Okay,
I just showed it to you.
But I'm telling you, I did have...
And I'm telling you, you're lying. I can't make it any... I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but I'm just telling you the truth.
That's what I'm doing to you. I'm telling you the truth.
No, you're not. We're past that. I've already shown you.
I've taken the polygraph. Do you have anything else for me? Because I'm not going to sit here and we're not going to go back and forth like this.
You do whatever you want to do. I said I'm here.
I want to cooperate with you. I'm not here...
Then tell me what happened. Tell me what you know.
I don't know anything.
We're past that. You've already shown me that you do.
I know nothing.
So we have a very rattled police officer there, and he's told you can deny, that's fine, but immediately we'll circle the wagons and start telling, well, self-preservation, we all do that. And the very first thing we hear Nick say is, man, let me cut you off. Do we need to take this any further? Now, at first view, that is very much, I'm giving up on this. Or is it even can we talk cop to cop here? Certainly what I've got is controlling language. Let me cut you off. That's saying, I'm cutting you off. Do we need to take this any further? Is that buddy-buddy stuff? Or again, is that controlling language what we've got there? The law enforcement guy says, I would like to take it to the truth. That's the whole reason we're here. So he's stating here, we need to get to the truth. And Nick says, it's test though. You're talking crazy. Now, this will become a repeated theme through the interview that Nick says, you're talking crazy. He says, I mean, you're talking crazy. And I think it's an FBI guy, the agent says, is that your rehearsed response to what's going to happen today? Because it sure sounds like it. Nick says, I don't know what it sounds like. I'm just telling you, you're talking crazy. Now, we'll notice he doesn't answer the question to, is that your rehearsed response? He doesn't say, no. It's just what I feel, or yes, or obviously he wouldn't say yes, but it's a yes-no question. Is that your rehearsed response? And he doesn't do that, and he avoids a lot of yes-no questions, does old Nick. So potentially it is a rehearsed response. We saw in the first polygraph video, there's a link to that in the show notes, how much he stuck to his guns and stuck to his story. This one was very much around, I don't remember things. Here, I think you're talking crazy is something that he's going to bring out time and time again. It's like a shield. You don't have to deny the accusation. You don't have to take it on. You just have to say, you're talking crazy. Because he's asked to take it on. The agent says, what's crazy about it? Explain it to me. He says, the accusations you're making. Now, that's just a very broad answer to this. The accusations you're making also doesn't mention what the accusations are, anything specific about the accusations. The agent says, yeah, I'm saying you're involved in this. And Nick says, absolutely not. None. Now, the none is interesting because none, what does that refer to? Again, is that part of a canned response? He's got these stock responses that he's going to use and just keep trotting out in response to everything. It just doesn't fit the scenario that's put to him here. But also, he says, absolutely not. He uses that word absolutely. If you're a regular here, you'll know that's a red flag for deception word. In this case, it shows a need to persuade. I'm saying you're involved in this. Nick could just say factually, I am not involved in this. But no, he has to use the persuasive. Absolutely not. It's not just, I'm not involved in it. I'm absolutely not involved in it. He's trying to turn it up to 11. You can't turn it up to 11. You're either involved or you're not. You can't be absolutely not involved. The detective says, well, you've already told me that. That's why we did this polygraph to find out. Well, now we both know, i.e. you failed the polygraph. And we get a question to a question here. I told you what now? And that's in response to the agent saying, well, you already told me that. And she says, you told me before you had nothing to do with it. And Nick says, yes. Now, all of a sudden, we've got a very simple, almost a pure answer of just yes. It's very straightforward. And that suggests he's telling the truth. But what truth is he telling? Is he telling, yes, I had nothing to do with it? Or is he confirming, you told me before you had nothing to do with it? Yes, I've said this already. I think it's the latter one there. It's a very truthful answer, but we need to check in about what he's being truthful about. Well, now we're past that because I've already shown you that you did have something to do with it, says the agent. I don't know what the agent is going to interrupt him a lot through this. I don't think he wants him to get into any stride or pace or anything like that. He's not got any time for any nonsense. So he says, I just showed you. Nick says, okay, I just showed it to you. But I'm telling you, I did, is what Nick says. Some interesting things there. I'm telling you is this, I keep telling you the same thing. Deceptive people think their consistency makes them more believable. And beyond that, they think that pointing out their consistency will make them seem even more believable. It's a theory of, my story hasn't changed, therefore I must be believable. But truthful people don't do that. Truthful people do not say how consistent they've been. They're just consistent. They don't even notice they're being consistent because they're telling the truth. It doesn't go through a whole mindset filter, unlike when someone's being deceptive. So I think that I'm telling you is, I've told you this many times, I'm being consistent. I've stuck to the same story, therefore you should believe me. And then he says, I did have... And if he followed that thought up, I did have something to do with it. Now, we all misspeak, but this is a cracker. I think he was going to say, I did have something to do with it. And instead he stops and he starts to say, I did. I think he's going to say, I didn't have something to do with it. Now, we can't find him guilty on a misspeak. We can't say, oh yeah, he's got everything to do with this. I just think it's a very interesting bit of dialogue. The agent says, I'm telling you, you're lying. Nick says, I mean, I can't make it any. And the agent says, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm just telling you the truth. And Nick says, that's what I'm doing to you. I'm telling you the truth. That's an interesting concept. He's doing the telling the truth to him. Slightly distant here. I'm just telling the truth. Nick doesn't say, and I'm telling the truth. He says, that's what I'm doing to you. The concept of the truth, telling the truth, is a doing to him. He's slightly distant from it. He's talking about the process of telling the truth, which is how a liar thinks, rather than just telling the truth. No, you're not. We're past that. I've already shown you, says the agent. Nick says, I've taken the polygraph. Do you have anything else for me? Because I'm not going to sit here and we're not going to go back and forth like this. More of this controlling language. Now, I think he has his stock phrases that he's ready to keep on using, but he's going to get rattled. That's part of the reason for interrupting him when he's talking, is to get him rattled, to get him out of the patterns that he's decided he's going to stick to. And here he uses that controlling language again. I'm not going to sit here and we're not going to go back and forth like this. He's telling the agent how the agent has to behave. So I think we get some markers here of a controlling personality from Nick. The agent says, you can do whatever you want to do. And he says, I want to cooperate with you. I'm not here. And he gets cut off again, but I want to cooperate with you. Well, that infers that he's not cooperating with them. I want to cooperate with you, but that infers I'm not cooperating with you. I want to go to Africa this summer. I'm not going to Africa this summer. That's exactly what's going on there. I want to cooperate with you says explicitly, I'm not cooperating with you right now. Well, then tell me what happened, says the agent. Tell me what you know. And he says, I don't know anything. And I think this is another one of Nick's stock phrases. I don't know anything. And it's a totality. I don't know anything. We all know something. He knows things about this case because he's been involved in it. It happened to his brother. He's been interviewed by the police about it already. He knows plenty of this, but he's just shutting it down to this totality, which totalities are very, very rarely true. I don't know anything. It's a stock phrase that he's going to rely on like a crutch as he goes through this interview. We're past that. You've already shown me that you do, says the agent. I know nothing, says Nick. Exact same thing as I don't know anything. I know nothing. Of course, you know things, but you're taking it to this totality, which is an indication that you do know something, that you are lying, because what you're trying to do is put it in such concrete terms as to say, don't come anywhere near me. I know nothing. So in this first part of the interview we've looked at, we've got Nick rattled. He's worried. His concern is for himself and not Crystal, because as you've seen, he's trying to close this down and say, I'm not going to talk anymore, which is not going to help Crystal. The best thing he could do for Crystal, even if he feels like he's being wrongly accused, is get out from under it. Tell the truth. Say whatever it is he knows. Stop the law enforcement looking at him and get them looking at someone else or where Crystal is. But he's not being helpful at all. His concern is to get himself out from under this. He's got no concern for Crystal whatsoever. He's doing that talking in absolutes, which I spoke about, which is a bit of a red flag, or a lot of a red flag. And he says, I want to cooperate. So right now, he isn't cooperating. So in all of that, Nick is acting in Nick's best interests and no one else's. Let's get back into that interview room.
Why would somebody, on numerous occasions, in a formal interview, under oath over there, say something they know isn't true? Why would they do that?
Well, you know, about me?
Not about you.
Well, I mean, do you think it would have had anything to do with being a little irritated about how things are going? I mean...
Well, that's why you would lie?
I didn't lie.
Well, I'm telling you did. I mean, I can show that already. This is not even...
Tell me about one of the lies.
Well, I can do that unless you're going to help me to understand the reasons behind it. I'm not going to lay out all the evidence that they do or don't have, but I can tell you...
I didn't ask you. I said, tell me about something I've lied about.
That's what I'm talking about. In the grand jury, you said places that you were not. Today, when I asked you specifically a moment ago about whether or not you were ever at certain places, and you told me no. Well, I already knew when I asked that question that wasn't true, because I can place you there. Those are just examples.
Are you talking about the video out there in the driveway?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you don't.
But I can promise you that I have been 100% honest with you.
I'm sure you spotted the 100% honest. Let's go on and look at some other things. Why would somebody, on numerous occasions in a formal interview under oath over there, say something they know isn't true? Why would they do that? There's something that's little bit unclear there. I think that Nick says, what, you mean me, or you're talking about me? And I get that context from the response from the agent, which is, I'm talking about you. So we have a question there. Why would somebody say something they know isn't true? Why would they do that? And Nick needs thinking time here. He doesn't have one of his stock answers, isn't going to do it here. So he needs a little bit of thinking time to form the words in his head, to write that script in his brain that keeps him safe and keeps him secure, and deliver that script to his mouth to speak. So to buy that thinking time, he asks this question, something along the lines of, what, you're talking about me, or do you mean me? When the detective says to him, or the agent says to him, I'm talking about you, Nick says, well, I mean, do you think it would have had anything to do with being a little irritated about things are going? I mean, and that is one of the most interesting things there, because first of all, it's a question, not a statement. So he's being asked, why would you lie? And he doesn't say, because I'm irritated about how things are going. And I think what is potentially going on here is he wants to say, I failed the polygraph test because I'm irritated, i.e. I'm stressed, therefore I was giving off all these stress signals, hormones, and physical signs, and that's why I failed the polygraph test. Because I'm irritated, it's made me stressed. But he doesn't say he's irritated. Do you think that would have anything to do with being a little bit irritated about how things are going? I mean, so he doesn't say he's irritated. He just asks a question about, could it be about someone who's being irritated? So although he wants to give the impression he's irritated and potentially he's stressed, and this is why he failed the polygraph test, he doesn't say those words. And if he doesn't say those words, we can't assume it. We can't assume that he is irritated. We can't even assume that he means this. It's just that question. It's not a statement. It also talks about how things are going, not how things went. Are going is right now in the present tense, i.e. while he's in this interview room. And there's no ownership. There's no pronoun ownership, as I spoke about at the beginning, of being irritated. Well, do you think it would have anything to do with being a little irritated about how things are going? There's no I in there. I am a little irritated, or my irritation, or any ownership through pronoun there whatsoever. The detective says, that's where you're lying. I didn't lie, says Nick. Well, I'm telling you, you did. I mean, I can show that already. Tell me about one of the lies, says Nick. Now, there's an interesting one. Tell me about one of the lies. Therefore, it's not tell me where you think I've been lying, or tell me what you think I'm lying about, which would make the lies a concept that is not true. He talks about them as a very concrete concept. One of the lies. So to me, this is language that says, I'm aware of these lies and I want you to tell me about one of them. I might rebut it and I might deny that I'm lying. However, I've got this concept in my head that there are lies there, and that's why I've called them one of the lies, and not one of these things I'm supposedly lying about, or where you think I'm lying, or anything like that. In his head, we have this concept that lies exist. The detective says, well, I can't do that unless you're going to help me to understand the reason behind it. I'm not going to lay out all the evidence that they have or don't have, but I can tell you. And he gets interrupted. I didn't ask you. I said, tell me about something I've lied about. Once more, this concept that there is something I've lied about. It's not, that you think I've lied about, or you believe that I'm not telling the truth on. And the detective says to him, that's what we're talking about. In the grand jury, you said places that you were not. Today, when I asked specifically a moment ago about whether or not you were ever at certain places, and you told me no. So let's just break down the concept that's happening here. Is Nick has said, tell me about one of these lies. The implication that he wants to give there, I'm sure, is if you tell me where you think I'm lying, I will clear it up for you. The detective says, okay, here's one. You've said you were places that we know you haven't been. And what's Nick's response to all of this? Does he clear it up? No, does he, Heck? He says, are you talking the video out there in the driveway? So he just narrows it down into something. It's interesting that's the first thing that he jumped on, is this video out there in the driveway. But something is put to him about saying something that this agent believes is a lie. And instead of clearing it up, like we think he implied when he was talking about it, he just asks more questions. Are we talking about the video out there in the driveway? Now, I'm going to point out that word driveway there. He is very, very concerned with the concept driveways come into it there. The detective says, no, I'm not. Nick now has a chance to talk about this. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but I can promise you I have been 100% honest with you. So he doesn't take any of it on at all. He does want to give this impression, you tell me where you think I'm lying and I'll try and clear it up. But when that's given to him, he just says, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, I don't know what you're talking about, but I can promise you that I have been 100% honest with you. Now, I very often say that people saying how honest they are, like when they say, honestly, I had such a good time, or to tell you the truth, I don't really like that. Sometimes don't believe them, because why do they feel the need to point out how honest they're being? And this is what Nick does here. I can promise you I have been 100% honest with you. However, he right now is being told he's lying, so he's under pressure. And that's when even a truthful person would say something like, honestly, to tell the truth, or I can promise you, because if you feel the pressure to prove that you're telling the truth, and you are telling the truth or you're lying, you are going to say, I promise you. So I don't hold that one up as a red flag, because he's under pressure and just using the words like a truthful person would do. However, I have been 100% honest with you. Now, that's one of those absolutes again, 100% honest with you. And I want you to remember that concept, because what he's saying here is all the time, in all of this, I have been honest with you. That's what 100% honest means. Now, that is a red flag because it's such an absolute, but also he's just stating right there in black and white terms, I have been 100% honest with you. I also think 100% honest is another of these crutch phrases that Nick has decided to use. Whenever you're accused of lying, just say, I've been 100% honest, because he uses it a lot. So in that section there, the language leaks that he has lied, because he seems to have the concept of that he wants to hear what these lies are. Not these supposed lies, not these alleged lies, but he wants to hear what the lies are. And he wants to blame irritation as the reason that he failed this polygraph test. However, he has no commitment to it whatsoever. When he talks about it, it's a question. He doesn't even say he was irritated, and there's no ownership, no pronoun ownership of the irritation at all there from Nick. Let's get back into that interview room.
I've done over 2,000 of these. Trust me, when I told you I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing.
You must have slipped up today. I mean, I don't...
What do you think the chances are better that you slipped up and the truth snuck out here, or that I slipped up?
I know you slipped up, but if you're telling me that I failed that test...
I told you in no certain terms you did fail that test.
Well, then the test...
I showed you.
Then it wasn't valid, I mean...
Absolutely valid.
Well, listen, I'm telling you, I had nothing to do with it.
Okay, well, that's fine. And I'll tell you, I'll even give you that you had nothing to do with it. Okay?
I know for certain.
Purposes here today.
I know for certain I had nothing to do with it, and I know nothing about it.
Well, that I won't give.
Well, I mean, that's
because
just
I've shown that. Look, one of the two things is true. Either you know something, and it could be something relatively insignificant that you haven't told me.
I don't know anything. Absolutely nothing.
Well, then why would you be less than candid with me, with the other interview, and in the grand jury?
There's a reason for that.
But that's what I'm saying. Explain that to me.
I had nothing to do with this, and I don't know anything about it.
No.
You know, just irritation. I mean, that just kind of worked its way into this.
Okay.
You know, I've been 100% honest.
Okay, well, that gets to, maybe that's it. Let me ask you that.
Right, so what have we got going on here? We've got a lot of the stock phrases. I hope you noticed that. The agent says, I've done over 2,000 of these. Trust me, when I told you that I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. You must have slipped up today. I mean, I don't. And we get this quite a lot from Nick, is that he says a statement and then he keeps talking and it all sort of dribbles away. You must have slipped up today. He could have left it at that, but he feels the need to keep talking, to keep filling the space. You must have slipped up today. I mean, I don't. What do you think the chances are better? And I love this question. That you slipped up, or the truth snuck out here that I slipped up? So did you slip up and the truth is seeping out? And that's what I believe is happening when I analyse Nick's words. Or that I, the agent, slipped up. I know you slipped up, but if you're telling me that I failed the test, he is telling you failed the test. He points that out. In no uncertain terms, you did fail the test, the agent says. Well, then the test, I showed you, says the agent. Well, then the test, then it wasn't valid, says Nick. Interesting that the test wasn't valid. That's quite a process term again, isn't it? You know, it's not, the test's wrong. It's the test wasn't valid, which is one of those kind of, you know, when people get off in a technicality for something, we know they did it, but for some reason they got off for it. That feels very much like what we're talking about here. It's not the test was wrong. The test is giving you erroneous results. It's the test wasn't valid. You didn't quite do it the right way, or something like that. It was absolutely valid, says the agent. Well, listen, I'm telling you, I had nothing to do with it, says Nick. I had nothing to do with it. Once more, we are in the rehearsed phrases, and also we are in these absolutes. I had nothing to do with it. And we saw this from Nick in the first interview that we looked at. He talks about Crystal's disappearance, and at this time Crystal was missing. I think at this point people felt that very likely she had been murdered, but he talks about it, an event. Not, I have nothing to do with Crystal disappearing. I don't know where Crystal is, or anything like that. It's just all taken down to it. Number one, it's kind of impersonal. So he's distancing himself from who we're talking about here. I had nothing to do with Crystal's disappearance. Would be a bit more personable. It would show a bit more respect, love, whatever for Crystal, but also that he's got a concept. He's got a concept that something happened to Crystal in his head, and he's wrapping it up and calling it it. Okay, that's fine. And I'll tell you, I'll even give you that you had nothing to do with it for the purposes here today. Nice qualified statement there from the agent. For the purposes here today, not in totality. I know for certain I had nothing to do with it, says Nick, and I know nothing about it. So we've got this repetition of nothing. One of his stock phrases, nothing to do with it, no, nothing, just nothing. Just go to these totalities again. And I know for certain I had nothing to do with it, and I know nothing about it. Notice here, he's not talking about whether he has anything to do with it or whether he knows anything about it. He's talking about what he knows. I know for certain. So this is not, again, what would be a blanket. It would be an absolute denial if he said, I had nothing to do with it and I know nothing about it. He's telling us what he knows. And it's very hard to prove what someone knows. What we know and what we don't know, that's inside our heads. It's very hard to get that out. I know for certain that I had nothing to do with it. You either had nothing to do with it or you didn't. What you know is kind of irrelevant in there. Well, that I won't give you, says the detective, because I've shown you that. Look, one of two things is true. Either you know something, and it could be something relatively insignificant that you haven't told me. I don't know anything, absolutely nothing, interrupts Nick. And again, we've just got these absolutes. I don't know anything, absolutely nothing. That word absolutely comes up there again. Absolutely nothing. Well then, why would you be less than candid with me with the other interview and in the grand jury? Now, we really want us to step into this question there. Why would you be less than candid, i.e. not fully honest, with me, with the other interview and in the grand jury? And Nick's answer is, there's a reason for that. Well, wait a minute. This is a guy that's been 100% honest, now admitting that he has been less than candid. It's there in his words. There's a reason for me being less than candid. So now we've caught him in a contradiction, because if he's been less than candid and he says he has, and there's a reason for that, then he hasn't been 100% honest. Therefore, we know he's not telling the truth. I mean, we might have gathered that from some of the things that we've heard from him, but here it's in his words. He is saying he's been less than candid. Therefore, when he says I've been 100% honest, we now have permission not to believe that anymore. The detective says, explain it to me. And he doesn't. He says, I had nothing to do with this and I don't know anything about it. So we've got just more repetitions of his favourite things. These absolutes, nothing to do with it. Don't know anything about it. And what leaks out again is this knowledge of an event. I had nothing to do with this and I don't know anything about it. He is confirming there that there is a concept, that something has happened to Crystal that he is referring to in conceptual terms, nothing to do with this. I don't know anything about it. And then he says, just irritation. I mean, that just kind of worked its way into this. So we have, again, this mention of irritation. He wants to imply he was irritated, stressed, therefore failed the polygraph test. However, once more, no commitment to it. He doesn't say, I was irritated. He doesn't put any pronouns there to own the irritation at all. It's very passive. It's very over there. We've got that word just, which really minimizes, just focus on just this, just irritation. The implication for me there would be really irritation was one of the things that was going on. I mean, just kind of worked its way into this. Now, this is a guy who's been talking in absolutes, I don't know anything about this. I've been 100% honest with you. But when he wants to use irritation, his excuse that he's going to try and use for failing the polygraph test, it just kind of worked its way into this. It's just kind of worked its way into this. It is not very solid at all. It's a little bit irritated and he doesn't take any ownership. Again, just no commitment to this excuse of irritation. I've been 100% honest. Well, let me just go back and check what happened. You've been less than candid with me. There's a reason for that. So you haven't been 100% honest. So here, he is sticking to his guns. He has these armory of stock crutch phrases, 100% honest, no nothing to do with it that he is bringing out. But there is an explicit admission that he has not been candid in this whole process. So therefore, anytime he says I've been 100% honest, like at the end of that there, those responses, frankly, they are bull. Now, coming up, Nick refuses to open up even more until he does. Do you ever feel that you're not hearing the full story? Look, you're right, you are. We can see it right here in this interview room with Nick. And it's happening to us all the time. People will be hiding things with their words. So I'm giving you the key to seeing deeper, to hear the world with new ears. And I'm on a mission to share this with as many people as possible. So if that is you, if you subscribe to this channel or follow, then that means that you will get regular updates, and you can delve into the archives as well to see a treasure trove of cases, many of them happening in police interview rooms just like this one. And do you know someone who needs this? Someone who deserves to hear the truth or see a little bit deeper into things that are going on around them? Well, you can help that happen because you can share this content with them, share this channel with them. You can hit the like button if you like as well. That helps this get out to more people. Comment on this if you can. It all fuels the fire, because every click that this gets, every single share, it just helps me to dig deeper, to analyze further, and bring this life-changing skill to even more people. So press a button, spread this to more people, and let's get on board with getting this skill out to as many people as possible. Let's jump back into the interview room now with Nick Houck.
You talk about being irritated in there. Tell me some of the things then. Again,
I'm not rehashing all this. I'm just.
No.
I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time.
My time is not wasted if we're here talking.
Listen, I don't know nothing about this. Nothing at all, and I had nothing to do with it. I don't know anything.
Well,
if I had something to tell you, I would. She's got kids.
I'm aware of that.
Okay.
Why do you think we're here?
Okay, look, I don't know nothing.
Well, something you just
not
said,
even something insignificant.
Clear that up for me. What you just, because I said, why would you be less than candid with me or the other interview in the grand jury? And you said, why would that be? Because I was irritated. Okay.
Well, just being irritated and being put in front of 12 people and accused of stuff like this, I mean, you're going to forget things and not be able to speak as well as you normally would. I mean, there's more to it than you're saying.
Well, that's what I'm asking. That's exactly what I'm asking.
Some of those things you can't explain. I'm not going to sit here and try to explain.
Take your time. Relax. Look, as I said, I'm sitting here. I'm here working for you. If there's stuff to explain, explain it. I will take all day with you to fix it.
And it would take all day to go through all this. I mean,
brother, you're on the clock. You're getting paid, so am I. Give me the thumbnail sketch if you want. Just explain to me what your big concerns are.
I'm not going there.
Why not? It makes no sense.
I'm not going there. Okay.
Well, it's not okay for me.
Well,
look what we're dealing with here. We're talking about the potential murder of an individual or an accidental death, right?
And if I knew anything, I would help you.
No, stop. We're going to.
I know where you're going with this, man.
Where am I going?
You're going to just bring all this stuff about Crystal, and you need to be,
No,
go ahead.
I told you I wouldn't go this whole read technique stuff with you, right?
So we pick up and we're talking about this irritation again. You talked about being irritated in there, says the agent. Tell me some of those things again. Free pass. So he's given a chance to expand on his irritation, to talk about it a little bit more. And he says, I'm not rehashing all this. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. Now, this is, again, a sense of arrogance here, or potentially it's just bull. It's just something he's trying to use to get out from answering any more questions, because I don't think he was that irritated. I don't think he has that much to say about the irritation. Therefore, I'm not rehashing all this. Well, you haven't hashed it in the first place to rehash it. You've been really locked down. And then I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my time. We're trying to find Crystal here. She's a missing person, the girlfriend of your brother, Nick. This is not wasted time trying to get to the bottom of what happened to her. Even if it is, as you say, you want to clear everything up. You want to say me and Brooks had nothing to do with this. Let's talk about it all so we can get on. We're looking properly for Crystal, and maybe even the real person that has something to do with her disappearance. Instead, he says all of this is a waste of his time. Arrogance and a lack of concern for Crystal there. And again, no depth. When he's asked, tell me why you're irritated, no depth. He doesn't say what he wants to do. He just says, I'm not rehashing all this. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. He doesn't say anything positive, anything helpful at all. My time is not wasted, says the agent. And Nick says, listen, a command word, a convincing word. Again, suggesting this controlling personality. Listen, you listen to me. That's what that suggests there. Agent ain't having none of it. We're here talking, and Nick again says, listen, I don't know nothing about this. Nothing at all. I had nothing to do with it. I don't know anything. Crutch phrases just come out, especially when the stress is on. Listen, commanding again. I don't know nothing about this. Nothing at all. I had nothing to do with it. I don't know anything. So he's just repeating these. If I had something to tell you, I would tell you. She's got kids. Doesn't finish the thought. He doesn't say he feels sorry for those kids. He doesn't say those kids deserve answers. Those kids deserve to know what happened to their mom. They must be going out of their mind, and I really want to help them. It's just a statement of fact. She's got kids, and he doesn't really dig deep into that and talk about that, certainly with any emotion, any empathy, or anything like that, which is very typical. He just doesn't finish that thought. The agent says, I'm aware of that. Why do you think we're here? I know nothing. So I don't know nothing is what he says. It's a double negative. I ain't going to pull him up on that. I don't know nothing is what he says to the agent. I just think this is one of his planned repetitive phrases. Whenever things get tough, whenever a question is put to you, just go to one of these crutches. I've been 100% honest. I know nothing. I don't know anything. I think this is planned repetition from the guy. He's strategized before he went in. What phrases can I lean on so that I don't slip up here? Because the last thing I want to do is be tricked into talking about something, because then, very much like there's a reason for not being candid, I'm going to open the door to a line of questioning that I don't want to go down. Well, something you just said, says the agent, and he's interrupted by Nick. Not even something that's insignificant. So we just break down all of that is I don't know anything, and then not even something that's insignificant. If you don't know anything, that covers everything. Significant, insignificant. We're talking levels of truth there again with him, but he's been 100% honest. So why does he feel the need to qualify? Not even something that's insignificant. All of this, he's trying too hard to prove that he knows nothing. He's saying it over and over and over again. He's trying to look consistent, as if he's sticking to the same story. He uses it when he's stressed. I know nothing, not even something that's insignificant, suggests that in his head, if I knew big stuff, I might not tell you, but insignificant stuff, maybe I will tell you. Interesting way of looking at the truth. Clear that up for me, says the agent. He is not letting him off the hook. What you just said, because I said, why would you be less than candid with me and the other interviewer in the grand jury? You said, why would that be? Because I was irritated. Okay. Well, being irritated and being put in front of 12 people and accused of stuff like this, I mean, you're going to forget things and not be able to speak as well as you normally would. I mean, there's more to it than you're saying. Let's break all that down, because he's come to talk about irritation, and once more, just doesn't hang together. Well, being irritated is passive. He doesn't say, I was irritated. He just talks in a general passive term. Being irritated and put in front of 12 people and accused of stuff like this. So he hasn't said once more he is irritated. He just talks about the concept of irritation, but he doesn't join himself to it. Being accused of stuff like this is being involved in the disappearance, potential murder of your brother's girlfriend. Stuff like this. Let's just bring all that down to stuff. Stuff like this. I mean, you're going to forget things. So he's not talking about himself here. He's trying to talk to the agent here. You're going to forget things. He doesn't say I forget things, and not being able to speak as well as you normally would. I mean, there's more to it than you're saying. So he doesn't own being irritated. He turns all the accusations down in severity to stuff like this, and then he doesn't say explicitly, which is the implication he wants us to get. It's the sort of picture he wants to paint is, I was irritated, I forgot things in front of the jury, and I just didn't speak as well as I normally would because I was irritated. But he doesn't say that. He says you're going to forget things and you wouldn't speak as well as you normally would. And then again, we had that concept of there's more to it when he spoke about I don't know significant things, and I've been 100% honest, as if there's sort of levels to it. I mean, there's more to it than you're saying. So he's letting out that there is more to it, but he's been asked about it and he's just really not opening up. That's what I'm asking. That's exactly what I'm asking, says the agent. Some of these things you can't explain, is what he says, and he thinks better of it. Some of these things you can't explain. You can't explain, not he can't explain, by the way. It's just Nick saying you can't explain. I'm not going to sit here and try to explain. Why not? You're in a lot of trouble right now. You're facing some serious accusations, and you're not going to explain because you can't explain. That suggests that explaining would not go well for him. He also uses the phrase sit. I'm not going to sit here and try to explain. When people talk about sitting, very often denotes that they are feeling tension. Now, we can get that there from Nick, that he's feeling tension. We have seen a lot of him being very, very testy and angsty and just really, really stressed. And that's coming out in his language. I'm not going to sit here and try to explain. I don't think he feels he could explain. Again, it's only trying to explain. But he's saying, I do know more. there's some things I can't explain, and I'm not even going to try and explain. So much for the guy that's 100% honest. I wonder if the guy's had some training, because he picks up on that sit, or does he pick up on that sit and says, take your time, relax. Look, as I said, I'm sitting here, I'm working for you. If there's stuff to explain, explain it. I will take all day with you to fix this problem. And Nick says, and it would take all day to go through this. Well, he's just said he's got all day, Nick, so why not start now? Again, you're putting some time limit on. It would take all day to go through all this, but you've been 100% honest, so what more is there to go through? The agent says, brother, you're on the clock. You're getting paid so much. Just give me the thumbnail sketch if you want. Just explain it to me what your big concerns are. I'm not going there, says the guy who was 100% honest, is now saying there are places that he won't go. Why not, says the agent. It makes no sense. And he has no answer to this question. I'm not going to go there, okay? So he's got this concept that there's somewhere he's not going, and that there is more that he has to say. So I'm not going there. Okay, says Nick, it's not okay for me, says the agent. Look, what we're dealing with here, we're talking about the potential murder of an individual or an accidental death, right? And Nick says, and if I knew anything, I would help you out. If I knew anything, you've said there's things you can't explain. You've said you've not been candid. So why not get any of these things out? I would help you out as well, is what he says, which is interesting because once more, his concern's not with Crystal. If I knew anything, I would be doing this for Crystal. You know, it's very important to me that Crystal is found, or we find out what happened to Crystal. But no, he's trying to buddy up here, I think, with the agent. If I knew anything, I would help you out. No, we're going to do it, says the agent. I know where you're going with this, man. Where am I going? You're going to bring up all of this stuff about Crystal and how you need to be, and again it sort of dribbles off, but stuff about Crystal, your brother's girlfriend. Stuff is not really appropriate here at this moment. So in this section, this is hugely revealing. It's clear there is more, and he knows more, and he's saying, I'm not going to talk about it. I am not going to explain it. Mr. 100% honest is not being 100% honest. It is in his words. But you'll notice that now there's less of this I know nothing stuff and more blocking. I'm not going there. It's going to take all day, so I'm not going to do it. Rather than denial, he's moved on to blocking. I think his stress level is going up. These crutch phrases that he thought he could rely on, well, they're not really getting him anywhere, so he's now going to have to use the block. Let's go back into the interview room.
What is it you haven't told me that's causing you such concern here?
I'm not going into to everything that's happened. You know, I mean...
Like what?
I don't have nothing to do with this. Guys showing up at my house?
Look, this is the first day you and I have met, right?
Yes.
Okay, have I been anything but cordial with you today?
And I think I've been the same way with you.
I'm not accusing you of not being.
Okay, there's nothing else to discuss here.
Well,
I mean, if I had something to give you, I would. I don't.
Put yourself in my seat for just a second, okay?
Okay.
And I'm talking to someone who's a family member, essentially, is missing and possibly dead. And you're sitting here, and that individual, who you know nothing about, never met before today, right? But you've seen some interviews where he hasn't been completely truthful about things. Not just kind of, haven't been completely truthful about a couple.
I've been 100% truthful.
Listen to what I'm saying.
You listen to what I'm saying. I've been 100% truthful.
Why are you yelling at me?
Well, because you're telling me I'm lying, and I know I'm not. I know the truth, you know? And I've been 100% honest
the truth.
with you, the grand jury, and everybody else I've spoken
No,
with.
you haven't. Here's what I'm getting. Well, you just said
Yes, I have.
No, you haven't.
I most definitely have. And if you don't want to believe it, that's your issue. It's not mine.
It's not just me. I showed you.
Dude, I don't give a goddamn what your fucking computer said. Okay?
I think you do.
I'm telling you that I have been 100% honest with you.
Is this how you act? Does this act this way towards Crystal?
When somebody... Is this how I act toward Crystal?
Yeah.
I act toward people that accuse me of lying when I'm not lying.
Did she
That's
accuse
how
you
I
of
act.
lying?
No, I didn't know Crystal.
Then why are you getting so angry?
Because you're calling me a fucking liar.
No,
That's
I'm
why.
just calling you a liar.
Okay?
I'm not cussed you.
I don't like it when people call me a liar. I'm being 100% truthful with you.
There's only the truth and not what you
Dude,
said.
why can't you? I'm being truthful.
Well, now we've got some stress going on. So we get back to the theme of what is it that you haven't told me that's causing such concern here? I'm not going to go into to everything that's happened. You know what I mean? So we're starting to get flustered here. When it gets hard for me to read out, you can tell someone's getting flustered because the words are not flowing. I'm not going into to everything that's happened. You know I mean. So we've got, again, he's the really saying, I'm holding something back. I am not going to tell you everything. And it's everything that's happened. So once again, we have an event that Nick is talking about. He's tried to hide it quite a lot through everything that we've looked at here, but everything in his language suggests there is an event that he knows about that he is not sharing with law enforcement. And again, that's wrapped up in everything that's happened. Things have happened. So what he's not telling us are events. Like what? Says the agent. I don't have nothing to do with this. The guy showing up at my house now, it might be the feds showing up at my house or something like that. There's certainly someone showing up at his house that he doesn't like talking about. But look at this shift here. He said, I'm not going to talk about everything that's happened. He's asked to expand on that, and he doesn't. He diverts. He says, I have nothing to do with this. Once more, we're pointing to an event. It's not what he's been asked about. And then he says, the guy's showing up at my house, which has just come from nowhere. But I think this is a priority for him. He did not like whoever showed up at his house. It was law enforcement of some type. I'm pretty damn sure of that. And he wants to talk about that. He wants to go down there. He wants to say he was very aggrieved by all of that. The guy's showing up at my house. Look, this is the first day you and I have met, right? Yes. Have I been anything but cordial with you or anything? And Nick says, I don't think I've been the same way with you. So we've got a yes-no question. Just, yeah, you've been cordial with me, but no, I've been the same way with you. He's now getting very, very defensive. The agent says, I'm not accusing you of not being cordial. Okay, there's nothing else to discuss here, he says, giving his controlling language. I mean, if I had something to give you, I would. I don't. Once more, this concept that things are being held back. If I had something to give to you, I had something to give to you. The concept is right there that he has things that he could give to them. Put yourself in my seat for a second, okay, says the agent. I'm talking to someone who a family member essentially is possibly missing and dead, and you're just sitting here, and that individual who you know nothing about, never met him before, right? But you've seen some interviews where you haven't been completely truthful about things, and you haven't been truthful about a couple of. I've been 100% truthful, says Nick. We know you haven't. We know you've said that there's things you haven't told them. That is not being 100% truthful. It's an absolute sort of red flag for deception, but based now on what we've heard, it's not true. Listen to what I'm saying. You listen to what I'm saying, says Mr. Controlling Nick Houck. You listen to what I'm saying. I've been 100% truthful. Why are you yelling at me, says the agent. Well, because you're telling me I'm lying, and I know I'm not. Again, we have this concept, not that I'm not lying, it's I know I'm not lying. It's very subtle, but there's a very big difference between I'm not lying and I know I'm not lying. Very much like I had nothing to do with it versus I know I had nothing to do with it. Now, what we might have going on here is him just saying, he's shared very, very little. Which means he's not lying. He's just not being 100% truthful. You're starting to tell me I'm lying, and I know I'm not. I know the truth, and I've been 100% honest with you, the grand jury, and everybody else I've spoken with. Again, I know the truth. It's there in his words that he knows more than what is going on. I know the truth. No, you haven't. Here's what I'm getting at. Well, you just said, yes, I have, and it starts getting testy. No, you haven't. I most definitely have, said Nick. And if you don't want to believe me, that's your issue. It's not mine. Which is, I most definitely have, which is persuasive. It's not just I've told the truth. That's I've most definitely told the truth. And I don't know what he expects to happen here. Well, I do know. He wants to be persuasive. But if he thinks an FBI agent is going to go, oh, now you're telling me you most definitely have told me the truth, I'm going to believe you. If you hadn't said most definitely, we would have carried on considering you're a liar. But now you've said most definitely, yeah, I'm bang on board. No, that won't fly. It's a desperate need to persuade here. A real need to persuade he's been telling the truth. It's not just me. I showed you, and I think he points to the polygraph results. And Nick says, dude, I don't give a goddamn what your fucking computer said, okay? I'm telling you, I have been 100% honest with you. Again, Nick's telling us what isn't there. I don't give a goddamn what is there. He's telling us what's not happening. He's not telling us what is happening. You should care what the computer said because it's kind of pointing its finger to you. And if you are being truthful and honest, you should care what it says and you should be trying to get under it. Great question from the agent. Is this how you act? Does this act this way towards Crystal? Is this how I act towards Crystal? Asks Nick. So once more, when he's given a question that he doesn't have a stock answer prepared for, like, I've been 100% honest with you, I've been 100% truthful with you, Nick asks a question to buy himself that thinking time to write the script, the perfect words that he wants to say in his brain, and send that script to his mouth to say. He buys the time through a question. Is this how I act towards Crystal? The agent says, then Nick picks up and says, I act towards people that accuse me of lying when I'm not lying. That's how I react. So he didn't answer the question about how he acted towards Crystal, but he does say, I'm acting this way because you're accusing me of lying, and that's how I react. Did she accuse you of lying, is what the agent says of Crystal. No. So we've got a straight answer there. It's a yes-no question, and he gives a no. Believe that. Crystal maybe has never accused Nick of lying. And then he says, I didn't know Crystal. Past tense, suggesting in his head, Crystal's gone. Whether that's gone and not coming back or whether that's dead, in his head, Crystal is gone. Now, why does he think that way? I didn't know Crystal, past tense. Then why are you getting so angry? Because you're calling me a fucking liar. That's why you're calling me a liar. I don't like it when people call me a liar. I'm being 100% truthful with you. That's the only truth in my heart, what you said. Why can't you? I'm being truthful. So we've got way more of this. I'm being truthful, but at the same time saying, I'm not explaining things. I'm not going to tell you more, and leaking out in his language that more is going on. We also have Crystal in the past tense, which is a huge, huge red flag there. And he avoids talking about Crystal as much as he can. She really is not a priority for Nick whatsoever. Shall we get some more from him?
Maybe explain it to me so that maybe I misunderstood what you're telling me. But you told me because you were irritated and there's all kinds of things that I don't know about, whatever, that I can't understand why you would say the things you said. That's what you told me.
It's just been an experience.
Well,
all this is going on.
but
You
that's
got
what I'm
guys showing
asking
up over at my house taking cars. I mean, this is crazy.
Okay, but that's what I'm asking about. Are we talking about because of things that have been going on since it's happened, or are you talking about there's things that have gone on over time that I'm not understanding?
No, I'm talking about recently.
Okay, well, how am I supposed to know that if you don't
Yeah,
tell me?
I mean, this is simple stuff, man. I mean, I have been 100% honest with you, and surely, God, you can understand with people showing up at my house and my family out there taking cars. The neighbors are watching. Man, it's been screwed up.
Of course I can understand.
Okay.
But I wasn't there. How do I know all this?
Well, man, you just assume. I mean, if you were a patrol officer and you got your chief showing up, and I mean, dude, that's crazy.
Look, I've been
Who the hell?
a professional.
I mean, listen, they come up with all these lies about, well, there's bodily fluid in your car, there's blood. There is no way in hell there is any blood in that car.
I have no idea.
Everybody's told me that. You know, I speak with the state police. That's the first thing they said.
Okay.
Grand jury. I mean, it's crazy.
But I'm not them, right?
Okay, but I'm just saying this is crazy.
Got one of the old stock phrases coming back there about being crazy. So he's asked, explain it to me. You told me you were irritated. There's all kinds of things I don't know about that I can't understand. That's what you told me. Look, it's just been an experience. All this going on, says Nick. He's got that red flag for deception word just in there. It's just been an experience, i.e., I'm going to narrow it down and boil it down and say it's just been an experience. And I want you to just focus on that. It's just been an experience. I don't want you to think it's anything bigger going on in here. I'm just using that word just. That guy showing up at my house taking cars, I mean, this is crazy. Now, remember I said the word driveway earlier was pertinent, and that's because what we get here is a lot of focus on cars. He's started to loosen up, Nick. He's started to air his grievances, and this grievance is people turning up at his house. I'm presuming it was law enforcement to do a search, and he did not like that one bit. Now, why did he not like that? Well, I think he wants to say it's the perception the neighbours would have had of him, but the leakage in his words is something to do with him and cars. This guy showing up over at my house taking cars, I mean, this is crazy. So we've got the repetition of crazy. He's decided 100% honest, don't know anything. These are not really working that well, so I'm going to bring back the crazy here. You're stupid if you're thinking any of this. You're just crazy trying to shake the confidence that the agent have in what they're saying, but also taking cars. Showing up at my house, taking cars, sensitivity, as you know, because he talks about cars some more. Okay, but that's what I'm asking about. Are we talking about things that have been going on since this happened? Are you talking about those things that have gone on over time that I'm not understanding? He says, no, I'm talking about recently. Here's something very straightforward from the dude. No, I'm talking about recently. So he is opening up and he's loosening up and he's giving an honest answer there, but straightforward. There's nothing persuasive. He's not talking in absolutes. He's not going to any of these crutch phrases. I believe this. He is talking about recently. I mean, it's not big and revelatory, but this is what he sounds like when he's telling the truth. Simple and straightforward. That's how most of us are when we're telling the truth. How am I supposed to know that, says the agent. And he says quite condescendingly, this is simple stuff, man. I mean, I've been 100% honest with you. Ding, if you had that in your bingo card. Surely, God, you can help understand with people showing up at my house and my family out there taking cars. So the fact that cars, plural, have been taken really concerns him. It's a real priority with them. People showing up at his house concerns him. What people saw, my family are out there and taking cars. The neighbours are watching. Man, it's being screwed up crazy again. Huge sensitivity to the fact that law enforcement showed up at his house and they got interested in the cars because he's not been asked about any of this. It's almost the only thing he's offered freely in any of this. Everything else has had to be prized out of him with specific questions. He's denied things, he's blocked things, but when he's talking freely and he's angry here and he's getting stuff out, he talks about house and cars. I think he's hugely sensitive to what happened around the house and cars. Of course, I can understand, says the agent. I wasn't there. How do I know all of this? Well, man, you just assume. I mean, if you were a patrol officer and you got your chief showing up, I mean, dude, that's crazy. So we're back on the crazy line there. Look, I've been talking to other professionals, says the agent. Listen, they came up with all these lies about, well, there's bodily fluid in the car, there's blood. There is no way in hell there's any blood in that car. Again, this is him offering things out. Why is he doing that? Why? He's not answering the question. He's talking about all this. I just think he's really, really sensitive and scared about what is going on there. As you can see from what he talks about, he should be scared. Listen, they come up with all these lies about, well, there's bodily fluid in your car, there's blood. So two things are apparently in his car, bodily fluid and blood. There ain't no way in hell there's any blood in that car. So again, he's talking about the car. Very, very sensitive to him. And he says there's no way in hell there's any blood in that car. He doesn't mention the bodily fluids. Interestingly enough, he doesn't disqualify that there couldn't be bodily fluids in that car. Just blood. And no way in hell. Look, imagine someone found some blood or some bodily fluid in the trunk of your car. You wouldn't say no way in hell. You'd want to know how it got there, wouldn't you? You'd be like, how did that get there? I mean, what happened? Like, the dog jumped in there once, or it's a used car. Maybe it's like, from before I had it. You would want to know how it happens. You wouldn't say there's no way in hell because we're aware there are ways in hell that these things could happen. You just had nothing to do with them. But instead, he wants to go to that absolute. There's no way in hell there was blood in that car. I have no idea is what he said. Everybody's told me that, I can speak with the state police. It's the first thing they said. Grand jury. I mean, it's crazy. So he's going to this crazy line again. This is all stupid. And if you don't get this, this is simple stuff. It's crazy. I'm just saying this is crazy. So in that excerpt there, he is very concerned about the house. He's very concerned about the cars and the fluid results as well. And so you should be, but he is mentioning these without being prompted to talk about them. They're just coming out of his head very freely, suggesting it's a very high priority to him. And that crazy line does seem rehearsed, another one of his crutch lines. Now, the next part comes in two parts. There's a first part, and then there's a second part. You'll hear the difference, but what you will spot more than anything else is the contradiction that is there as we listen to the last part of Nick.
If there's something you know about in your mind that you haven't told me or other investigators, could be about as simple as you saw an argument one time, and again, I'm making it up. You saw an argument between Brooks and Crystal a year ago where she pushed him.
They've never been physical with one another.
I'm making it up.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is the bigger picture is you would fail a polygraph. Where does your mind land at when you think about those?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't know Crystal. I don't really know my neighbor. I know that's sad.
I get it.
I mean, I just wasn't around them. I never really saw them argue anything. If they did it away from me. I don't.
Well, that's fine. And if they did argue in front of you, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people argue. So what? And you're saying something other than what I know I can prove. It raises questions in my mind.
That's not happening.
Well, but it is my point.
Okay, whatever.
It is. My point in that is...
I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you've heard, but I'm just telling you, I didn't do it. I don't know nothing
I
about
didn't say you
it.
did.
I don't know anything about it. My brother, and I can tell you, I know him well enough, he didn't do it. It's just the way it is.
Did you catch it there in the very first part? He's having a scenario put to him. It's an imaginary scenario. If there's some kind of thing you know about in your mind that you haven't told me or other investigators, it could be as simple as you saw an argument one time. Again, I'm making it up. You saw an argument between Brooks and Crystal a year ago where she pushed him. It's an imaginary scenario that's been put to him. And Nick says, they've never been physical with one another. Now, that's interesting. It's number one, he's saying he knows for certain what's going on behind closed doors. Not always true. They've never been physical with one another. Never is deceptive. What does that really mean? It means not at any time, and never been physical. He can't know that for sure. He doesn't say from his point of view, I know they've never been physical, or as far as I know, they've never been physical. He states it again as a certainty. They've never been physical with one another, been in the past tense as well. So it's not, they're not physical with one another. Another thought that Crystal is in the past tense. But they've never been physical with one another is what Nick says there. The detective says to him, I'm making this up. So he puts to him, it's an imaginary scenario. Now, later on in the interview, where does your mind land at when you think about this? Is what he asked Nick. And Nick says, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know Crystal. I didn't know Crystal. He didn't know Crystal. Remember that? He didn't know Crystal. But hey, he knows enough about Crystal to know that they never were physical with one another. How does that work? And then I think he says, I don't really know my neighbours, is what he wants to say. Don't know what that's got to do with anything, but he pulls out of it and says, I don't really know my... and you can see he's talking about the neighbours or whoever it is in the present tense. So it's, I didn't know Crystal. I don't really know my neighbours. So again, an indication psychologically in his head, Crystal is not coming back. He then says, I mean, I just wasn't around them. I never really saw them argue or anything. If they did it away from me. Interesting, because he was able to say with certainty earlier that Brooks was never physical. He said he was never physical. They were never physical as a couple. And then he says here, I just wasn't around them. I never really saw them argue or anything. Well, wait a minute. You said earlier you knew they'd never been physical. If they did it away from me. So what you're saying now is things happened between them that happened away from you. So how do you know? How could you say with such certainty that things never got physical between them? He's contradicting himself again. I just wasn't around him. It's that red flag for deception. Just. When someone says just, dig into the words. I never really saw them argue. Never is another one of those words. And he's used two in this one section here. I never really saw them argue or anything. So that means you did see them argue. You might not have seen the worst arguments in the world ever, but you did see them argue. You've just never seen them really argue. Then he says, if they did, so the concept is they could have argued. I just didn't see it. They did it away from me. And yet earlier he said with certainty things never got physical between them. Very interesting, Nick. He says, I don't. And then it all sort of dribbles out, which again is something that he does. He starts with such certainty and then the air comes out of his balloon and he just finds it less certain. He just has less to say. Potentially he realises here he's contradicted something that he said earlier. That's fine. And if they did argue in front of you, I don't care. I mean, people argue, says the agent. So what? You're saying something other than I can prove. Something other than I can prove. It raises questions in your mind. That's not happening, but it is. It's my point. Okay, whatever. He's starting to give up. I think, we can again see deflation in him here. My point is, I don't know what you're saying, but I know what you've heard. But I'm just telling you I didn't do it. It's all the usual things. I'm just telling you. There's the word just. This is all I'm telling you. I didn't do it. Once more, the concept that an it has happened, not I don't know what's happened to Crystal. Not that, I didn't do it. I don't know nothing about it as well. I don't know anything about it yet. You've said that. My brother, and I can tell you, I know him well enough that he didn't do it. And it's this concept of it that really, really concerns me, that Nick knows something that happened. He knows an event. He knows a happening, and it comes out in his language all the time when he's talking. It's just the way it is what he said. So in that section there, he's saying he knows of an event. Again, it's in his words all the time there. He lied as well because he said that he knew for a fact Brooks never touched Crystal. It never got physical. And then he says, if they did argue, it was away from me. Both things cannot be true. So another lie coming through there in this interview. And once more, he talks of Crystal in the past tense. So what are your thoughts? Do let me know on social media if you can. I think that this guy just has so many questions to answer. He knows there was an event. He's saying explicitly, there's things I'm not telling you here. Well, why would that be if his concern was for Crystal? And he's talking about Crystal in the past tense. But one of the big things to me, no concern whatsoever for Crystal. The concern is all for him and his brother. And that would be the brother that has been found guilty in connection with Crystal's murder recently. So that's what I think about Nick and that interview that he gave with the FBI around the polygraph. Neveratruerword.com is the website. If you go there, loads more ways of detecting the truth and detecting deception in people's words. More videos, more podcasts. You can join the Facebook group where we discuss things like this, and you can sign up for the monthly newsletter as well. It's neveratruerword.com, and we'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.